Hello, everybody, and welcome to Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 2 and 3, because I didn't get to record last week. So I wasn't feeling well. I had a couple of days where I was going to film on the weekend, and I got sick. So I couldn't record Sunday like I wanted to, which I usually just kind of record it late because it's just easier for me usually. Once I get home from work, sometimes I'm a little tired or I have other things, errands to run. So it's usually kind of late. But anyway, so I'm here. Just wanted to discuss again episode 2, and I'm gonna combine it with episode 3, which came on last night. So in episode 2, we get to finally get to see the wedding. So we at least got to see 3 weddings last week. We got to see Ryan and Clara, Brent's. Okay, I created a name from Brianna and Vince. Brent's, and then Eric and Virginia. And so just going to talk a little bit about Claire and Ryan. We kind of saw Claire, I think, previously kind of freaking out about her makeup and her dress. And then we had the scene, ending at the in episode 1, ending with, Claire, being blindfolded walking down. So when they, met each other, they both seemed to be pretty satisfied. Claire, once they got married and everything, she kind of made the comment, when she got to talking to him after everything, and made the comment about, oh, I thought I was going to get a Brown or a Johnson or a Smith or whatever. That seems kind of stereotypical, black last name, when he said his name was Aubrey, which is Creole French, which you can still be black and be Creole or something else. But I guess she was looking for that ADOS typical name, and somebody got off the plantation. But that's neither here nor there. So they get married, and at one point it's kind of funny because Clara is talking so much, and her dad did mention his vows. How, for one, he was happy he didn't have to pay for the wedding, and for two, how Clara talks a lot, and so at one point during the wedding, you get to kind of see her just kind of going on and on and on and on, and Ryan kind of looks like, oh my goodness, would she be quiet? She's talking way too much. Moving on to Vince and Brianna. Vince and Brianna, it was a nice wedding. She got her wig busted, and then, she put a nice little, bun, and she looked very pretty. So did Claire. Claire looked very pretty. I'm going to go back to Claire. I like Claire. She's very funny to me, very talkative. I get it. So I'm moving on back to Vince and Brianna. I keep wanting to call them Brents, so maybe I'm creating a name for them. We'll see. But anyways, for Vince and Brianna, so she looked very pretty. They get married. I know she was worried about how he was going to look, and worried about if he was going to be clean or not. Because Brianna seems like she might be a bit of a type A, very uptight. She seems sweet, but very uptight. And I kind of like how her mom kind of put her in her place. You said, what if he's cleaner than you? Because it's funny sometimes when you're in relationships, you have such high expectations that sometimes having super high, or let me say unrealistic expectations, you can set yourself up to kind of stay single or not learn how to deal in relationships if you're not looking at it from a perspective of, not just what do they bring, but what do I bring? It's easy to say, oh, I know I'm this and I'm a catch. But are you able to adjust? Are you able to compromise? So, when her mom told her, he might be cleaner than you, you're up here, kind of having, negative, those unrealistic expectations can become negative vibes to kind of keep you from, embracing somebody or something different. Believe, and I say this as not somebody who's an expert, but somebody who's been there with unrealistic expectations and had to take things down a peg. I'm not talking about settling. I'm just talking about having a reality of what it really means to date and interact with men and people as humans, period. So, but they met each other at the altar. It was nice. Her maid of honor, matron of honor, her friend's speech about her being bossy, it can seem like it's a red flag, but I think they can balance each other out because he seems like he's kind of cool, calm, and collective. And if he, I'm not saying he has to be gruff, but if he knows how to speak to her or to be able to calm her down or bring her back to reality, I think they would work. I think they're a very cute couple. They had great chemistry. I liked how his cousin, like I said, looks like a predominantly female family. How they kind of discuss like she's going to be the machata, meaning boss in Spanish. I kind of like that. I was like, ooh, okay. But, she's going to be the boss. But I think he's going to be able to, adjust. It was beautiful looking at their families. It was so funny. Here you got this one side that was chocolate. Here you got the one side that was kind of caramel. My only concern was that and I hate to bring it up, but my only concern about, the match, if he was going to find her attractive, is because with him being Dominican, sometimes there's like in a lot of Latin American or South American, sometimes, in, those communities, there can be a bit of colorism. So I was kind of concerned, like, is he going to think she's beautiful? I think she's beautiful. She's so pretty. But, sometimes, is he going to consider a little too dark? Is this going to be, is he going to be like, I kind of wanted somebody to look a little bit more like me or maybe like my mom or my aunts or, something. Because sometimes there's this, if we're honest, in some of those places, there's like colorism and the ideal of, the lighter you are, the better your line. But, it's good that they were attracted. And, they look cute dancing. They look nice dancing. And then we get to Eric and Virginia, which Virginia, oh baby. Virginia, her dress was very nice. I was kind of concerned about the makeup. It was just a lot. Her mom had on the purple makeup. So I said maybe she gets her a little bit of feisty wild side from her mom. Mom might have been, turned up, but I just like, Virginia, come on, girl, turn down. They say turn up, turn down for what? She needs to turn down for a lot. But her and Eric seemed to be kind of vibing. I was wondering how he was going to take her family being so concerned. He's being very conservative, which, in a lot of ways, like some people made jokes about, that might have been his parents might have been the people that was at the Capitol on the 6th, or, sometimes, conservative views, not very wild, what do you kind of consider Christian, not go out the little box, but we'll see. I did think it was interesting with him being very conservative. Her family, her sister, has a partner, had, nephews who were artificially inseminated. So, here you got this conservative family marrying into this family that seems liberal, which, a lot of time opposites do attract. So, sometimes I get why the experts kind of match people, but I'm not sure because she has such a party girl vibe, and I don't know how that's going to move into this conservative world. But then again, sometimes you'd be surprised at the people you think there's a particular way or they're going to act a particular way. And then sometimes they're a little bit out of the pocket or, on the low, kind of wild themselves. So it would be interesting to see. And so we ended episode 2. We ended with Paige and Chris, and they kind of left with a cliffhanger, like, oh my goodness, is Chris going to find Paige attractive? And we kind of get to his dad, which I'm about to go into episode 3 in a second, and when I do episode 3, we're going to cover Chris and Paige last. But his dad was like, hopefully she is pretty and this and that and other. I was like, so that's where he gets that from. That kind of like, oh, she needs to look a certain way. Which, I was kind of confused because he told her mom she was beautiful. But, that's neither here nor there. So we get to episode 3, which was last night, which was the last 2 weddings and the festivities. We get to Chris and Paige's wedding, which I'm going to save after I discuss Haley and Jacob. Haley and Jacob, they both have dogs. He was like, at one point told his groomsmen, and they were giving, him different tips on what he should do. Let her have her space. Don't be too crowded in the bathroom. Basically, happy wife, happy life. He was saying he hopes that she likes dogs. Well, come to find out, he has dogs. His 2 little corgis and the big one. I can't remember what type of dog. And she has a little dog, which was very cute. They both seem kind of, I don't know, kind of stiff, and it was a little awkward when they would have conversation. He seemed kind of quiet, like he was taking it all in, and Haley seemed like, I don't know, she seemed kind of like I guess she did say she's very picky, and you can kind of see that in, some of the ways he was describing himself being like an 80s guy, and, they're discussing what they do. And, um, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on it. The only people I'm sold on is Brent's right now. Brianna and Vince. That's about it. And maybe Claire and Ryan. Seeing if they can work through their differences, and if, Claire doesn't spaz out. Um, so, they get married, I think, she was ready to run away. I remember her dad being at the end, and, she's, kind of having, a little bit freaked out. He found her attractive, so that was nice. We get to the receptions of each one of them. Unfortunately, I think I missed the speech for Haley and Jacob. But I'm going to go to Chris and Paige. Now, Chris and Paige, at first I was like, oh, Chris and Paige, they're going to work because they have similar value systems. She a freak, he a freak. They both, religious. Even though he seems a little extreme, I could see it working because of where they're both at. Even though Paige, she's kind of off the hook, but she's that quiet off the hook, as opposed to he's a little bit more extroverted, maybe, with his off the hookness. Or she wasn't scared to say certain things. So we get to the part where it shows. I just had to take a deep breath because there's just so much I want to comment on. And anyway, so Lord have mercy, help me, Jesus. It's just, whoo, that doggone Chris, boy, oh boy, okay. So we get to it, and then we get to it, and she's walking down the aisle, and he seems like he's relieved. So that part where we saw, he was like, "Oh crap," he seems like he's relieved. She gets down the aisle. They give their vows. When he says his vows, he doesn't really look her in the eyes, but he promises to take care of her, make sure she's spoiled. They give all this about him liking designer stuff. Who cares? Tell me about what's in your heart and what's your character. You could be dressed to the nines all day, but if you got a shoddy character, or you just ain't it, it doesn't matter how nice you look. I've dated guys who are cute, but they could be like dumb. It's like dating somebody who's cute and they're dumb. I mean, so all that external stuff, unless you got something that's just as blingy on the inside as you are on the outside, then it doesn't matter. So, anyways. So, she walks down, and he seems relieved. He's like, oh, you're beautiful. You got a pretty smile. She gives her vows, how she's, vowing to pray for him and, covering in it. Like, okay, Jesus, let's go where Holy Spirit, you about to have your way. And then, we get to the receptions. So that's basically all the way. I mean, episode 3. We get to the reception. I'm gonna pause right there and go back. Pretty much all the receptions we're saying we got to see. The normal, garter throwing and throwing of the bouquets to the single sisters. We heard the speeches. We got to see them dance. Claire and Ryan look kind of funny dancing. Rihanna and Brent's. That's what I'm just gonna call them, Brent's. They look like, they was fun, having fun. Haley and Jacob, they were kind of awkward. It was nice to see Virginia and Eric. Did I call him Eric earlier? Did I give him another name? No, it was Chris last week. I kept wanting to call Mike. I don't know, maybe because somebody that I know that could be. Ooh. But anyway, so we kind of saw them dancing, and it seemed were they kind of awkward? Yeah, they seemed, a little, kind of awkward dancing. But, they're trying to get to know each other. So, it wasn't really, I don't remember a lot. There's not really a lot, unfortunately, to talk about. The main points was, I think the scene stiller was actually just Chris and Paige and trying to see how that's going to go. Because okay, let me just go ahead and cover them, and then I just clean up the end with what we saw at the end. So we get to Chris and Paige because there's just the ones that unfortunately they're probably just gonna get the most. But okay, so we get there to them, and like I said, he seems like he likes her, and then he gets to talking to her friends, and he's like, oh no, first first we get to, when everybody kind of goes off and get to know each other. So I already talked about, Haley and Jacob, and, like I said, they found out what they do. He kind of told her how he's a bit of a nerd. And at one point he told her brother, my backyard has a sauna, sand and whatever. He's basically, created a beach at his house. And, everybody kind of asks each other questions. Ryan, her friends was bold. They asked, yeah, I know I said I was going to go back to him, but let me just finish. So I'm sorry to be jumping all over the place. Sometimes that's just how my mind works. I'm trying to focus. But at one point, so, he kind of talks about the beach and, everybody kind of gets their views, what can I do? What does somebody, like, I know at one point, Virginia was told, Eric is not going to be a big partier. So we're going to see how they adjust to that. Claire's friend asks, in going to Claire and Ryan with the questions, everybody's asking about, what is sex going to look like that night? Men are kind of like, I hope to get it. Vince with Brianna's friends was like, trying to be all gentlemanly. I think he was trying to get some brownie points, but all the girls was around like, oh, like, batting their eyelash. Was like, oh, Vince. And, he was like, we don't have to do it. I can wait. Yeah, I can wait, saying the gentlemanly thing. I was like, okay, you gonna wait, Vince? But, I mean, I get it. Everybody's trying to get to know each other. Clara, her friends asking, like, what's your stroke game? What it look like? And Ryan is like, uncomfortable, which is, I understand, that's none of your business. He's like, me and my wife to discuss it. So I kind of like how he handled that, because, I mean, are you really? But, it's no different than when the season of Katie and Derek, I think she had friends like that. They were asking about sex and, just personal stuff. It's like, I can't imagine asking my friend's fiance. So what it's going to look like. I don't even want to think about, I mean, I want my friends to be able to enjoy their sex life, but I can't imagine unless it's like us discussing or giving tips, but to just ask him, I don't need to know that. That's gross. And I need to be able to see you and look at you face to face without trying to, yeah, no, that's just, it's inappropriate. And it just don't feel like, ugh. That's like asking your sister's husband, your cousin's husband. So what, what's your stroke game? What you hang? I mean, you got it going on down there. What it's like? You see what I'm saying? What's your girth? What's your, just too much. Just too much. This, I understand. Yeah, you can let him know that, she likes to have sex. That's fine. She like to get it in. Cool. But the other questions, that's about as bad as, when I was watching what was it? The preview show, and the one chick, she was like, yeah, what's your favorite position? I'm like, oh my goodness, you are very bold asking this. See if you was a sex therapist, but I don't think she's a sex therapist, but I'm like, oh girl, what's your favorite position? How you like? I'm like, what do you have on your video? What is on your phone? We clicked on your phone where we find all kinds of, we find Pornhub. So, anyways, I'm getting totally off subject. So, that was Clara. Like I said, everybody kind of did the whole tossing thing. Kind of getting down to Paige. Now, I don't get to Paige and Chris. I was about to call him Mike again. Yeah, I think he reminds me of somebody I know. And that's a whole nother conversation that we're not going to have today. Anyway, so we get to Mike and Paige. And so, Mike seems like he's... I'm sorry, Chris and Paige. Chris and Paige. And so Chrissy is like, he's, digging her. They get to the table and he tells her about his relationship and how he was engaged and, all that. Oh, Jesus. And it's like, hold on. Did I get bamboozled? did my prayer hit the ceiling? Okay. Jesus did. Okay, help me rewind. Is this a bad dream? He starts to tell her about, the 4-month relationship, how it wasn't, how he's engaged, how it wasn't too much longer. And I'm like, not on your wedding day. I mean, I understand he wants to be able to talk about his past, but this might not be the appropriate moment to talk about your past. You might need to wait to handle that and wait a whole nother day. It's just, mm-mm. But anyway, so he tells her about that and she's like, I got some red flags or yellow flags. I think she called them yellow flags going up because by now you married. So it's like, what you gonna do? Like, I mean, can I get the annulment papers, please? Is there any way can I back out this contract? Nobody told me this. I mean, I know I was marrying a complete stranger and they were bringing all their history, but maybe somebody could have vetted dude a little bit better. Okay, and so. And so with that, and then finally, she goes around, meets his parents sitting at the table. First of all, we get to the toast. Not like I said, I missed the toast with Haley and Jacob because I was cooking and I was trying to do it on, commercial break, and I did a little too long. So we get to Haley and Jacob, and I missed theirs. I'm pretty sure the toast was nice, and they had some nice things to say. And so we get to Paige and, Mike and, of course, Paige's, friends say all the good things, about her being loving and caring and, probably something about prayer. And then we get to his dad talking about, there's two things. And he mentions having the children. I'm like, dude, this is not the appropriate time to talk about having children. One is making sure, you take care of home or whatever else, or him being dressed, and then, having the kids. I'm like, really? And so then we, get a little ways in there. She's at the table and she's, talking with his parents, trying to figure out, his mom and his mom. I loved how she seemed sweet and she said it quiet, said it, she's like, just get to know him before you focus on having grandkids. Cause I'm thinking mom probably like, you know what? I love my son and this is what you can do for him, but you can wait to have grandkids. You know, she probably knows the sweet side of Chris and he might be loving. But when I think about Chris, I just think about his dad. His dad is off the hook. First of all, he kept telling Paige how nice her body was and looking at her. And then when he was sitting at the table and he was like, yeah, my bit of advice is, when he gets home, make sure, he feels welcome and everything. And then, make sure you basically have sex with him and give him some, because that's going to help him unwind. And then, but the awful thing about it was he was looking at her like he wanted to be Chris. I'm like, I see where this dude get it from. So I want to be mad at Chris and I want to smack him and hate him. But I'm like, yo, dad is a trip. Like, what did your mama have to put up with? Like, was she enough? Was he the type that probably needed some kind of, I don't know what you bring, a downer? To kind of get him to calm down? Because he's talking about, yeah. And I couldn't get over the way he was looking at her. I mean, I promise he's like, yeah, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. I mean, I guess at least he appreciates her beauty more than his son seems to. He was like, yeah, she nice. Yeah. And then, all Chris could talk about when he finally he said to the camera, yeah, she has a fat butt. Okay. Yeah, she nice. She got a nice body. She a thick girl. She's pretty. She has a cute shape. She's a nice little, you look for a little thick southern girl. She thick. And then we get to him talking to her friends, talking about, yeah, I mean, she's what I want, but she's not what I want. And I kind of got what he was saying. It's like, I might have, because sometimes I do hear couples say about, this person that I married, I wasn't attracted to him. But then as I got to know him, I find out they were what I needed. And I get that in a relationship because I dated somebody that I thought was handsome. But some of their things about, I'm like, I wasn't trying to vie for. But then as I got to know him, I was like, okay, I was more and more attracted. So I get that aspect. But I'm just hoping. But then again, with all the stuff he got going on, he needs some maturity so that, he needs some maturity because, again, he was kind of saying the right thing, but then he was also sending red flags to her friends. And, they were asking all kinds of questions about, how is he going to take care of her? Are you going to respect her? And he kept saying it. I don't think she's not my type. And I get it. And, when you're doing this process, if you have a particular type, I recommend you just date that type. And maybe he needs to take in consideration. And maybe that's where the conflict and struggle is. Because I get it. Sometimes you do have a type that you date. And that type is, even if it's toxic, sometimes we have a toxic type that we constantly date. And then we get with somebody that's not as toxic or not the same. And then we're like, well, I don't know. It's not the same. Yeah, because you're used to that toxic mess. So, I mean, again, I kind of get what he was saying. So I'm not trying to defend him. I think I understand where he's coming from. But I also need Chris not to be so vain and so about himself and to really allow this process to work if it's going to work. Um, I think she's pretty. I don't know if I would love to see what his prior girlfriend looked like. Part of me wonders if he has like that Instagram model type in his head. If she's, a little bit too chocolate, even though his mom is, chocolate, and even though he told her mom she was beautiful. I'm just wondering if it's, that type of situation where, he wants to, I don't know. He thinks he's supposed to have whatever's considered the baddest chick. And sometimes these dudes choose chicks. They're like, oh, she hot. Sometimes they ain't that cute. I know I'm not, the most beautiful thing, but sometimes they ain't cute though. I'm like, that's supposed to be because of situations or whatever else, because that's what's considered. But anyways, as I digress. No, I'm not digressing. I'm just stating a fact. So but I'm just wondering if it's coming from that or because of who he has himself hyped up in his mind that he thinks he's supposed to have this certain particular person. And again, Chris dresses nice. I'm pretty sure, he's taking care of stuff. He's a restaurant owner. He likes to spend a lot of money. She's like, I'm an accountant. We going to reel in the finances because you're not about to be up here messing up my money. So I get it. So I'm like, yes, Paige, get him together financially. Because if you a spender, ooh, sometimes it's hard to refuse. But I don't know about spending $2,000 on shoes. I mean, I know men's clothing is usually a lot more expensive than women's, but he's going to have to bring some of that in. He's going to have to bring it in. But just to the fact of again, I just didn't like how his dad treated. I just didn't like it. It was disgusting. His dad was disgusting. Even some of the things he was saying, I was like, Chris, you shouldn't have never got in this process. And if you're picky about looks, this is probably not the best process. And even though I'm a single woman, I was like, oh, it might be kind of cool. I don't know if I don't know. Again, like I said, I am who I am, and we all, if we're honest, we all do want to be able to be attracted to our mates. If we're honest, I'm not saying everybody you're with is going to be what you consider beautiful. Because someone might get with me and they're like, oh, I like her personality, but she's not normally my type. Like I might get with somebody else like, oh, he's not, my normal or what I consider attractive, but he might be nice. So, if we're just going, let's just be honest, we all value attraction. It's just a reality. I think what happens is when you begin to present yourself so high that you can treat other people like they're not never good enough, or you're trying to obtain something that you think that's going to give you status. You're trying to fill that void with status and money and power when you're not securing yourself. And I believe Chris has some insecurities. I see those insecurities. And again, just listening to his dad talk about what's attractive and, and how he talked about, I'm proud of my son. That was the thing he talked about, his son having a business and how proud he was, and he knew at the age 6, and and it's like, but okay, so if you guys, but what about the godly character? Is he gentle? Is he kind? Is he faithful? Does he have some kind of goodness? Does he have any self control? Is there any joy, any love, any peace? Um, I did say faithful, kind, gentleness, goodness, love, joy, peace. I was, naming the 9 fruits of the spirit. But do any of those reside? Is he going to be the type of man that, yeah, you can wash her in leather and Dooney and Burks and Birkin bags, but can you wash her in the word? So I think that's a little bit more important. And I'm not saying you don't need money because you got to pay bills. You have to take care of home. If he wants 7 kids, then yeah, he is going to have to hustle and keep, doing his, entrepreneurship. So I'm not knocking Chris for any of those things. What I am going to knock is the pursuit in thinking that because you're building an empire, that you need a certain person to build that empire or a certain look to build that empire instead of appreciating that maybe that woman that you think that's the most beautiful may not help build that empire. She might actually collapse it. And I see that a lot of times. These men, they have anointings and they go out here and they get something that they think is beautiful, think that's gonna, they get a trophy wife. Like he said, she's not trophy, which, I think he was asking her about, is she girly? Does she probably, he probably wants somebody who get their hair, nails and all that done. Which I mean, pretty much from what I could see of Paige, she pretty much kept herself up. So she's not a bad looking girl. She didn't have on a lot of makeup. She looks like a nice looking girl. I'm pretty sure she's not out here looking ragtag. I'm pretty sure he wants somebody that's gonna kind of look like they always on the gram, all hair, always. That's not reality. Unless that's your consistent lifestyle, that's not the reality. And even some days, people who do have that lifestyle or their lifestyle or wear makeup, they do have down days, I'm pretty sure, when they're not constantly doing stuff to relax. And hair probably ain't always done, makeup ain't always done because sometimes you got to take a break and it's okay. So I just think he wants a trophy wife, and I think she could be a trophy in the sense of she has a lot that she brings to the table, but is it enough for him, or is it enough to, fit his unrealistic expectation? And I think that's what a lot of it is unrealistic expectation. Or again, it's like what you want your friends to say about you instead of, is this the woman, with him being Christian, that God has for me? Is this woman going to help me build and become the man of God that I need to be? Because in reality, to my understanding, again, I'm not married, but a lot of my married friends say, it helps to sharpen you and helps you to see yourself, and it helps you to grow. So that's part of marriage. Yeah, there's the beautiful things of having companionship and love, but sometimes I hear it's going to show you a mirror yourself. So it'll be interesting to see Paige and Chris's journey along the way. And I know her friends were trying to. I liked how her one friend, and I can't remember her name with the lock, she, kept trying to intervene and tell Paige the truth. And like, girl, be careful. Wait, And her other friends were like, well, no, just be honest with your friend. You know what? You married this guy. I don't want to say anything bad about him because I don't know him that well. But I would, be honest. Just say, what? There's some things that concern me about our conversation. Just take your time and get to know them. Know him before you make a decision to have sex, before you put your whole heart in it. Girl, Paige, pray. Pray. Girl, you might need to fast. You might need to fast. Girl, you might need to fast. And so after we get through all the weddings, we get to, everybody going back to the hotel room and getting undressed. You got Jacob, who looks like he's already on bed, ready to go sleep, and Haley in there struggling trying to get the buttons. You got Clara in the mirror, and I was laughing. I said it brought back memories of having those big high pin and curl ponytails back in the day. And you had 1,000 ponytails. First, you had like 10 ponytails right here in the middle. And then if you had them curls, then you had each one in the curls or whatever. So trying to remove all them bobby pins and hairpins. So it was funny. And then, Ryan kept looking like, what is going on? Sir, you don't understand. She had all that stuff in her, and I get it. You don't understand all those bobby pins, and she had the braid right here. So, I understood. I thought it was kind of hilarious because I was like, ooh, I feel that. I understand when you taking your hair down. Ooh, it ain't easy. It's not easy. Then we had, Brianna and Vincent, or Brent's, or Rihanna, whatever you want to say, Brent's. I'm gonna call this Brent's. They were cute, like his cousin was cute. But anyways, let me get back to it. So they get back to the room. Everybody had their little cute little short set on. So if I think for Paige, she had on a different little short set, but then most of them kind of had on like a little satin 2 piece, short sets. And Brianna's so little, she's so little, and he had on his shorts, and so he kind of helped her. And they're looking out the window, kind of just getting a feel for each other and getting close. And who was that? And then, Paige and Chris, I was about to call him Mike again, getting in bed. And I think talking about playing footsie. So, you know, she's in there kind of, taking off her makeup. I'm surprised I guess nobody wrapped up their hair, her or Brianna. So I'm going to have to see how that works. I'm like, girl, maybe it's for TV. I'm like, nah, y'all know y'all got to have your bonnet or scarf somewhere. I'm sorry. Even in protective style, I still got a bonnet or a scarf on. Just saying. And then who else we had? Virginia and Eric, they kind of snuggled in bed. And, I just hate to say, I just wonder why every time I turned around, Virginia had a drink. Oh, baby. Always had a drink. So yeah, I don't know. But that's pretty much it. This video is too long. I'm looking at about 34 minutes. That's pretty much it for Married at First Sight episode season 12, episode 2 and 3. So if you like my commentary or if you got some comments, I know I'm gonna try to work on better being all over the place. That's just how my mind sometimes functions, and it is what it is. So I hope you enjoy. Like, share, and subscribe, and click on the notification bell just to see if I have any upcoming videos. And you have an awesome and beautiful day or evening.